What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here. AQUA Life Baby, you already know. And I'm here bringing you guys a deck for my boy Black Steve's Gear Chronicle deck. Now, the reason why I'm bringing you guys this deck is one, because probably haven't got my channel yet, but two, I want to show you guys one of the type of decks that I consistently talk about in my Aquaforce videos, these field disruption decks. I always say, my meta is heavy on field disruption, and mostly coming from the Dragon Empire. We have a lot of Kagero and Narukami players here, but we also have quite a bit of Gear Chronicle players. At my main locals, we have about 3 to 5 Gear Chronicle players. So I just want to show you guys, another reason to add some more clarity to why I build my Aquaforce decks the way I build them and the strategies behind my builds, because I go up against these decks quite consistently. But without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Alright guys, so the starter is Gunner Gear Draco Kid. He generally flip-flop between this and the Grade 3 Searcher. Either one, I guess, is fine. This guy, you have to wait till Generation Break, but you counterblast one, and you get to search out a Vanguard Grade 3. So that's pretty good. You can search out your Chrono Jet if you really want to ride it, or just, thin your deck out so you can have a pretty much guaranteed stride next turn if you don't have to drop it for a Perfect Guard or something like that. So definitely a pretty solid starter. They're getting a better one in set 4, I believe, that I saw on Facebook. So, it is what it is. 4 heals, we gotta have heals. 4 Margot Clone Draw. This is like the only Dark Zone deck that doesn't like inherently soul charge. So, but uses the soul. And so these Margot Clones are very good. Get them out early game, throw them into soul, build some soul up, make some nice columns. Late game, you could do the same thing. Set up plays for later on in the game. Pretty good card. And then you run 8 crit. Heartthrob Worker, the other crit, is very, very good when you're on a Chrono Jet Vanguard. You can push him into the soul when your Chrono Jet Vanguard attacks. Gains 5,000 power, and you get to draw a card. This card is very good late game. I've been in situations where my opponent would swing with Chrono Jet skill for like 23,000, and then use Heartthrob Worker, draw a card, and give it an extra 5,000, so it would have been like 28, and then it'd be like, dang, I can only give you like a 1 to pass or something like that. So this guy is very, very key to a lot of Gear Chronicle decks, and I don't think he's going to be changing pretty much anytime soon. All right, on to grade 1. All right, so let's get this one out of the way. We're running 4 Perfect Guards. He got the G Perfect Guards. They're just in the mail, but these are going to be the G Perfect Guards because this deck does counterblast quite a bit. So the G Perfect Guards just help with the unflipping. So definitely these are going to change to the G Perfect Guards, but for right now we got those. 4 Steam Best Dragon, this Chrono Jet Searcher and Stride Enabler. 4 of Steam Fighter Meshi. I think he was the promo card. Yeah, he's the promo card that we get. When something is spun to the bottom of the deck, you get to Soul Blast 1 and unflip it damage. This is very good because this deck does counterblast quite a bit, and using your soul to unflip damage whenever you use those spin abilities is a very good thing. Now I know Chrono Jet's getting a more consistent one in set 4, where it's like, okay, if you have a Chrono Jet Vanguard, you send something back, just counter charge or unflip 1 damage. Bam. Really good. Doesn't cost really anything. So definitely a good card to have probably until set 4. And then Summon Crest Gear Wolf. Whenever you spend something, it gains plus 3,000. It turns into a 10k attacker. If you have an 11k Vanguard here, or you use Glimmer Breath effect and have it behind him, that's a 21k row. So this card definitely can make some plays, and it's also pretty good behind the Vanguard as well. All right, on to grade 2. Alright guys, so for grade 2 we run 4 copies of Amber, so GB1, Counterblast 1 when it's boosted, it attacks a Vanguard, spin a grade 2 or less to the bottom of your opponent's deck. Just a solid card overall, does what Gear Chronicle does best, field disruption, sending those cards, sending our Andre, sending our Tidal Assaults, our Magnum Assaults to the bottom of the deck, so that, and again, as an Aquaforce player, we do not have a way to tutor our rear guards out of our decks like Royals and Shadows and things like that do. So when our cards get sent back, it's not like they're going to come back out. We got to either find a way to shuffle our deck to draw into those cards again, or just deal with the consequences and move on and try and create plays from what we have. 3 copies of Twin Mazer Dragon. Now for Gear Chronicles, the Grade 2 lineup is a very funky kind of lineup. There's a lot of variations you can do. You could run, I think I have it over here. The one of the pro, yeah, this card right here, Ishin. We could run, you can run Ishin in place of this or something like that if you want to, but, through a lot of playtesting, found that this card doesn't really, do too much. We don't really use this card. And sometimes, the counter blast is kind of met, even though it does have resist. So, you can change it up however you want. I know one of my boys plays a 10k vanilla, for ride defense, and because, it's just really a funky grade 2 lineup, again, probably till set 4. But these guys are working out fine. 12k attackers. You put them in front of a Gear Wolf. That's about a 22k column on the Vanguard, so it's pretty decent. And then we run 3 copies of Glimmer Breath. Now we're gonna go up to we're probably definitely gonna go up to 4 copies of Glimmer Breath when set 4 drops, because we're getting that Chronojet unflipper guy, but there are going to be more ways for you to ride Chronojet. Like we have that, they're going to have that Grade 3 where you can like search out a Chronojet from your deck and put it into this, put it into the heart or whatever it is. So Glimmer Breath is definitely going to probably bump to 4, but right now 3 is perfectly fine. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1 when it's called to the rearguard circle. You can spin, what is it, Grade 2 or less? Yeah, one of their Grade 2 or less rear guards, and it gains plus 2,000, so he becomes 11k attacker. So again, in front of Gear Wolf, this is a nice 21k column. And then we run 1 copy of the Legion Mate for the back of Grade 3. Now, my boy Domino Paris 21, we were, I was watching his video, then, I was talking to him about it, on the phone or whatever it is, and, it's pretty much like this guy, you usually don't ever go into the Legion a lot of time. You'll usually win your games on Chronojet, but, I mean, this guy is okay. His cost is quite heavy for however the decks work, so this is one of those guys where you're not going to see too often. If you damage check it, you damage check it, whatever, but it's one of those cards where you're not going to see it. It's going to be in your deck, or you're going to draw it, get into the drop zone, so if you do have to Legion, you can Legion. So, it's one of these, it's just one of those cards that it's just not too important, so we're just going to, just run it at 1, and if you see it, you see it. If you don't see it, no love lost. Alright, on to Grade 3. Alright, so Grade 3, run the backup. Our backup is the Rune Disposal Legion. We like this Legion over the other one, more or less because it's just on Legion. It's a free send back. It's like, oh, send something back. Okay, cool. And it also gains plus 2,000. If you have something in the center column, so 22k by itself. It's just a backup Vanguard. You don't want to sit on him for too long. You want to be able to get to this guy. You want to be able to get to your Chronojet. This is the guy that makes the deck run run at his most effective level. His GB2 ability is very good actually. When he attacks a Vanguard, he gets 5,000 power, and your opponent cannot call Grade 1 and greater units from the hand. So he literally becomes a Glory Maelstrom, just by being at GB2. And that can cause a lot of problems, again, coupled with the crit trigger. The crit trigger can make him a 21k if you're swinging by himself. But if you have a boost, you're swinging that, you can swing for some really good numbers. So definitely a solid GB2 skill. And his stride break skill is when you stride on top of him, counterblast 1, spin a unit. Counterblast 1, spin a unit, then Meshi or the new guy in set 4 is coming out for the damage. That's pretty much a free spin when you stride on top of him. So he's definitely a very good Vanguard, and you always want to be on him because he is one of your main win conditions. All right, and on the stride. All right, guys. So for the stride deck, we play 1 copy of Interdimensional Dragon, Fate Rider Dragon. Now, what he does is it's an act ability. You choose one of your rear guards, you put it back into your deck, and you search for up to 1 card with a grade greater than that unit, and call it to the rear guard circle and shuffle your deck. And then you get to choose one of your units for each face-up card in your G zone, and they get plus 3,000 to the end of turn. So it's a pretty nice card. You know, send a trigger back, grab a grade 1, grab like a Meshy or something, or send like a grade 1 back that you don't need right now, grab a Glimmer Breath, and then go into Glimmer Breath and do something like that. So this card does create different plays, different options. It's pretty good as a first stride if you have to do it. So it's one of those cards that opens up plays. We run 1 copy of Chronos Command Dragon. This guy usually never hits, you know, sometimes at the optimal time, but you know, you find yourself late game, your opponent has a full board. Like I can remember one time, it happened to me once. I couldn't block this card. I had a full board with Aqua Force, and I had to take this hit, and then my board was gone. You know, it has happened to me before. So this guy definitely can put in work, but he's one of those cards where you really have to time it correctly. And then we run 2 copies of the pretty vanilla Interdimensional Dragon Lost. He's pretty vanilla. I think he was the promo strike card. So pretty much when he hits, spin a unit. That's it. When he hits, spin a unit. It's good. It's a really good first stride to get rid of, you know, something else. If you don't use Chrono Jet Scale, let's say you just don't have any damage and you just straddle him, like, okay, well, if it hits, get rid of the starter. But he's just a very solid card to go into as well. Now, I know there's Upheaval Pegasus and Epoch Maker. I'm not well versed on them, but I can definitely say that Upheaval Pegasus can cause problems, but it is one of those gamble cards that you go into. I know they tried to really sell that card and Epoch Maker in the show, so you know, it is what it is. But if you guys want to run Upheaval, if you find him a lot more useful, you know, take one out for Upheaval, have a lot of variety of things that you can go into, then by all means. But you got to run your 4 copies of Ragna Clock. Ragna Clock is just a very solid unit. It's silent. It's a silent Tom that gets an extra crit. You counterblast 1, Persona Flip when you have another card face up, and he gains an extra crit, and your opponent cannot call grade 0s to the Guardian Circle from the hand. So this guy is very good. You know, you can pretty like the thing I like about him and Chrono Jet is, you know, you can pretty much play around what your opponent drive checks. Like if you could think like, okay, shoot, all right, they just drove check, you know, 3 triggers. That's a bunch of 0 shields in hand. I can stride into this guy, spin one of their intercepts back, and hit him there. Now, do you have a perfect guard? No. Then you're taking a you know, an extra crit. Or if you see them, you know, drive check, you know, some 1s, you know, that you know they got a perfect guard, go into Chrono Jet and duck under them perfect guards. He doesn't have an extra crit, but it's still a more viable option to force damage. Now you can't force, you know, perfect guards out with him, but you know, it is, you know, timing. It is paying attention to the game state, and sometimes you got to make predictions. Do you want to go into him, or do you want to you know, use his GB2 ability? So, you know, it's one of those things where more experienced Gear Chronicle players, you know, especially those who, you know, practice more with the deck in different type of situations, will come to that decision of which one do they want to use if you're at GB2 with him. If not, definitely a good card to force out those perfect guards. Eat the perfect guards so later on, you know, skills can hit a little bit better. All right, but this has been Gear Chronicles. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, I will be doing another video on, you know, the type of decks that I'm going to show you guys the type of the decks that I consistently face in my meta games, and I'm going to go in depth with them. And then I know I was asked if I can do some videos on strategies, you know, my strategies against these types of decks, and I'm definitely going to do that. So right after this one, I'm probably going to do another one. All right, but this is Cardfight King. I'm out. Peace. And also, I'll probably be doing an updated build to my Aqua Force deck, so stay tuned for that too. All right, peace.